As you're dating your significant other, you're dating your in-laws. I know somebody that they were just about to get married and they didn't just because of the mother-in-law. The mother-in-law was planning the entire wedding and wouldn't let the actual bride plan the wedding.
Which is horrible because it's the bride's wedding.
And so that was a red flag for the bride to say, hey, once I marry this guy, his mom is going to make all the decisions in our relationship. And I don't want that, and I'm out.
Always choose your spouse.
Always choose your spouse.
So do you mean like always choose your spouse even if your spouse is wrong?
It depends on the issue. If it's something little, like if white chocolate or milk chocolate's better, like, no, go ahead and fight. We are navigating in-law relationships.
I feel like this is just such a touchy topic.
I'm expecting a call from one of my parents to be like, what did you say?
I don't think we said anything that was bad.
We did.
I'm Jeena.
I'm Drew.
And welcome to Hey There Parenthood.
Hey There Parenthood is a podcast that fosters a diverse, inclusive village
for raising confident and loved children. Oh man, so I'm so excited about my segment today, and I literally came up with it myself. I feel like I'm saying literally. I can hear my parents be like, "Don't say literally too much." Like literally. I can hear my parents like, "Don't say it." I came up with it just a few minutes ago. And it's because of a bunch of TikToks that I'm watching about how these adults are crying in their car because they said that their parents don't love them anymore. And the parent is like, no, I didn't say that. I just said I'm not getting you an Easter basket anymore because you're too old for that. And she's like, that's the same thing. And so now I'm wondering, what age should you not get an Easter basket? Like, what's the age?
That you shouldn't get an Easter basket?
Yeah.
I don't know. I feel like every single person does this different. I feel like it's super personalized.
I'm asking
I don't know.
you.
If I personally, what age would I stop getting my kids? Probably never, as long as I'm alive.
Okay.
And nearby. It would be a distance thing for me. Like if the kids moved away and I couldn't physically be there to give them an Easter basket, that's when I would stop.
You want to know when I would stop?
When?
You're going to think I'm horrible. But I feel like this is maybe a little bit of a cultural thing, which would be like, I would start getting my kids an Easter basket as soon as they, if they decided to have grandkids. Give me grandkids. So then their Easter basket transferred to their kids. But
that's pretty good.
Then that would mean that they wouldn't have to buy their own kids an Easter basket. Grandma has got them.
Yeah, I want my kids to put in that work.
Why?
My kids can put in that work for their kids, and I'll continue to get my kids. They're putting in the work
365. As grandparents, we only have to be there only a little bit.
Exactly.
Yeah, so then what's wrong with that? You're so much like your dad. So much like a dad.
I'm just saying I'll get my kids an Easter basket. They can get their kids their own Easter basket.
So you're saying if they're 35, 40, you would want an Easter basket?
Yeah.
You want an Easter...
My mom still gets me some stuff like that. It's a little more random now, but sometimes she'll get me stocking stuffers for Christmas.
She did?
Or Easter basket and stuff.
When?
She did up until about 2 years ago.
What did you do 2 years ago?
What do you mean?
Why'd she stop getting you an Easter basket?
I don't know what I did.
Oh, man. I didn't know. Well, I guess maybe I just didn't recognize. Because she's so good about getting... Both of the grandmas are... both your stepmom and your mom are so good about getting the kids Easter presents. And so I don't think I ever noticed that they got you something. Because they never got me anything.
You don't remember when it was earlier on in our marriage when my mom was still getting us.
I remember that. Yeah.
And it was just a distance thing. As we move further away
from her,
from my mom, it just and I'll be the same way. If the kids are close by, it'll click my mind I need to go get them stuff.
I'm like your stepmom.
I think what I'm going to do for my kids is I'll get them an Easter basket as long as they're alive and I'm alive. And I'm just going to give it to them a day late so that I can get 50% off. At the store. That's what I'm going to do.
That's worse. That's worse than what I did. I was literally making my lives easier for our kids. And you can't even give it to them on time.
Yeah, once they turn 18, it's at a discount. That's all it is. That way I can put the other 50% of the money towards the grandkids. See, I'm using your logic.
No.
I'll take the other 50%.
You just told me that you were not going to get anything for the grandkids. Our future grandkids. Yeah. That we were just gonna get some for our kids, and then it was our kids.
We're talking about Easter baskets, not Christmas presents and stuff.
Yeah, we're just talking about Easter baskets.
Yeah.
Why does it make it?
Valentine's, Easter.
Wait, so
4th
you
of
would do the same
July.
thing Valentine's? You wouldn't get your, like, if our kids decided that they wanted to have kids, you would not get our, like, little granddaughters, like, a Valentine's gift?
I think you've changed my mind. I will get them a 50% off chocolate as well.
Oh my goodness, Drew. Babe, you can't be that frugal.
Why?
Because these are, like, they're not even...
I know you're going to spend the money, so I'm going to get the discount.
Oh, man. You know what? I feel like I brought this conversation up. I should never have brought it up.
You know, as president of the family, I should have done this a long time ago.
As president of the family, I'm telling you right now.
As president of the family, I should have moved holidays to one day after it's nationally recognized. Because that would have saved us so much money.
Oh my goodness. Okay. So I'm going to make sure that when we have to, if our kids start giving us grandkids, that they make that choice feature. Because I'm not making them I think it would be nice.
Can't make them have
I can't
grandkids.
make them, but I'm not going to pressure them into doing that. But I am going to pressure my grandkids to vote me as president and kick you out of office. That would be a glory day when, as soon as all the kiddos make the little ballot and it's grandma, 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 and then they kick you out of office. That'd be fantastic. This is not even, I don't even think it's how long have you been president?
Oh man, since 2019?
2020, I think.
Or 2020?
Yeah, that's 4 years.
Yeah, exactly.
That's a long time.
It is. So by the time the grandkids get old enough to vote Jeena in, I'll be ready to move out. I'll have destroyed everything about the home that I could with my presidency, and then we can blame Jeena.
No, we need to have another. It's like a dictatorship at this time. Your first year in
office, I'm gonna be so excited. I'm gonna be like, why is this wrong? Where's this? Where's that?
I'm taking all up. First year in office, I'm taking everybody to Disney.
Okay.
With your money.
Better. I see, guys, why I need to save 50% on all holidays. This is what I'm saving for.
What? There's nothing wrong with wanting to spoil my kids and future grandkids.
I want to spoil my kids and future grandkids at 50% off. What's wrong with that?
I don't like you talking. Just stop. Oh, man. Alrighty. Well, now we know Drew's ideas. I will be getting... I think before we go to the next part, I think I said it. I would get our kids an Easter basket up until they have kids of their own. So they choose never to have kids. They will perpetually get an Easter basket till the day I die. Maybe I might even future pay somebody else to do it for me after I die. Randomly show up, Easter basket, randomly show up, and they're like, "Mom's dead, right? How are we getting an Easter basket?" I think that would be the best. I don't know
if that would be the best or a little haunting.
That's not my problem.
Them,
I'm dead.
What if they move and someone else is getting their Easter baskets?
Then someone else is blessed with it. That's okay.
Okay.
Who would be mad about getting an Easter basket?
I don't know. Yeah, it's a lot of planning to put in.
Yeah, but it's worth it.
Okay. All right. I guess we were moving to the next segment.
We're going to be talking about, I think it's perfect that we talked about your parents, because we're talking about in-laws today, right?
Yes. We are navigating in-law relationships. If you have a partner, if you're married, spouse, you're going to have in-laws in some form or capacity to deal with. Our in-laws, are we including, is this focus on in-laws as parents or in-laws all brothers, cousins, families?
I guess both, but I think really maybe this might be focusing on the fact your parents and your step parents and then my parents.
That's kind of what I had in my mind as I was reading through this. When I think of in-law relationship, I immediately think parents.
Sometimes too, I mean, they're siblings and stuff like that can be difficult as well. So I think
if the sibling has raised whoever you're marrying, you could get into that situation as well.
Oh, true. I didn't think about that because there are a lot of children who are parentified and then end up raising their little sibling and then are essentially the in-law, the parent.
Yeah, and then have this dynamic where they're acting as the brother or sister, but then also acting as that parent figure. Let's just start with how do we build a trusting and strong relationship while maintaining your autonomy and independence?
Oh, that's hard because I think the first thing is like just building a relationship, right? I think about the time that I like spent with your mom and even your stepmom. Like I remember all those times that I spent. I think with your stepmom, it came later in our marriage, and then with your mom was like very early on in our marriage, where I built a relationship, and then your dad now. It's so crazy. Like your dad is getting into that age where he's like becoming true grandpa mode. And so he calls up and checks on me a lot. And I think it just starts with a relationship, like building relationship, finding common ground on like certain topics.
So for me, how to build a trusting, strong relationship, I don't know if this is while we were engaged or dating, or if this came afterwards or where I picked it up from. But I kind of got in my mind or heard that as you're dating your significant other, you're dating your in-laws. Right? Like, and so if you think of how to build a relationship with your in-laws, you're talking about spending time with them. I would think the same thing.
Okay, I get it. Yeah.
Like, how many stories have you heard? I went golfing with my future wife's dad and had this conversation and just spent this time. They went on a date, right? Like, if you think of it that way, like you're trying to schmooze up your in-laws, get to know them. Schmooze. Well, yeah, because you want their approval.
Yeah, but it's not schmoozing.
Schmooze is probably the wrong word.
Yes, because schmooze has this very negative connotation to it. Where it's like schmoozing. I feel like that one day is going to be a compilation of all the words I cannot say. Schmoozing. Why can't I say it? Okay, schmoozing your in-laws sounds like you're like a con person.
Yeah.
Like you're trying, and I think just building relationship is completely different. It's like true, like I'm trying to think of like one of the things that I did that I felt, I don't know. But I don't like the word schmooze. Can we change it?
Let's change it to connect.
There we go. I like that. Because I don't want it to sound bad. Because I think...
so yeah, you spend the time with your in-laws to build that connection, get to know them a little bit better. They get to know you. What do you do when that is intimidating for you? What if you're more of a shy person or introvert and it's harder for you to put yourself out there like that, right? Meeting in-laws can be very intimidating. So do you have any advice on approaching in-laws? Or I don't know if I'm wording that the right way, but
I think that if you're really nervous about it, I think it should be in a way that's like less confrontational. So like a bigger setting, not one-on-one first, doing that a couple times, and then maybe something one-on-one. But while you're dating, before you get engaged or before you get married, I feel like you should be in that group setting. So by the time you do get to like the fiance stage or marriage stage and you're wanting to do more like build a better relationship with your in-laws, you already should feel comfortable with doing that. And like I think about when your stepmom like invited me, like a lot of the times we'll just like walk away from you and your dad and the kiddos, and I remember one time we went to Longhorn or we went shopping, or we'll do stuff away from you guys.
And on a date.
I went on a date with your stepmom. No, I like your stepmom. I like both your mom and your stepmom a lot. And it was like, at least with your stepmom, it was just so easy. Like, she's an extremely good listener, a big worrywart, super, like, I said this to her face, I would not be afraid to tell you right now, Diane. You are a huge worrywart. You care about me and your grandkids and your son so much. Like,
we love you, Diane.
Yeah, but it's not in a bad way. I like sometimes it can be too much, but like I've just learned that like that's how she cares, right? And but I've also expressed like, hey, like sometimes it can be too much. She's learned how to like back up a little bit, but like I love hanging out with her because her intentions are always so pure that even when she does something that like I really don't like, that I know there's never a negative like ulterior motive. And so I like hanging out with your mom, both of your moms. I like hanging out with your dad, but he's like so much like you that sometimes it's just like, oh, I need a break. Like he'll just crack jokes. I mean, your dad is just like, the dad jokes are like on thick. And then he's like, let's go do a tractor ride. And I'm like, I'm not down for that. I'm not down. Take your grandkids. Like, let's go. Like, oh man. So, but I do like your dad a lot. It's just it's a lot to be around him.
I can definitely understand that. So I get irritated sometimes. Like, okay.
What, you see yourself looking in the mirror?
Yeah, exactly.
So
Sometimes I need a break for myself.
So now you know how I feel.
Exactly. That's why I'm agreeing with you. Like, I'm in your corner. I think for me, one big thing that I was able to do with your dad is just like, if he was watching a soccer game, like go and watch the soccer game with him. And I've never like been huge into soccer or anything like that. And so I would just pick a team and start talking about them. And he would tell me pretty quick if it was a good team or not.
Oh, for sure.
You know, I'd be like, oh, Belgium's the greatest in the world. Like, Belgium's going to win this game. And he'd just look at me and be like, Belgium? Like, really? So I think picking up interests of your in-laws and being able to experience those interests with them is a really good thing too. Because it just makes it more natural, less intimidating. I think, like,
I agree.
Sitting there, he's watching soccer, his focus isn't all on me. Like, we're not just sitting across from each other and like having an interview or interrogation.
Intimate conversation.
We're just sitting down watching some sports, and then you can kind of feed in some things from there as far as like trying to connect and getting to know them. Where are you from? Have you always lived, like, wherever you are? We're in Georgia. Have you always lived in Georgia? What do you do for work?
Sounds like speed dating.
It is. I mean, putting the effort in to get to know your in-laws a little bit more is definitely worth it, because they become part of your family.
The kids have a lot of interests, and a lot of them overlap with the grandparents' interest, right? And so typically I will plan activities or have the kids like learn or do something that I already know and then like we'll spend a day doing that thing with that grandparent. I know like one day we spent a whole day where each of the kids like played the piano for Diane. And like Diane is like extremely talented on the piano. She plays the piano.
Just music in general.
Yeah, that's true. She's like a prodigy and a little intimidating, but she plays, not only piano, she plays the organ too, right? She plays the piano, the organ. She's really proficient at it. And then all the kids were playing at one point. Now we only have two. We're down to two.
I think they're going to stop.
No.
Yeah.
Wow.
Panda is showing a little disinterest in piano. And so just a heads up.
Do you think it's just that he needs a break?
I think a summer break would be really nice. I also think he's more interested in coding, and he really wants to like spend more time coding and learning how to code instead of piano.
I just feel like they need one thing that's artistic or creative. And it doesn't have to be piano, which is making me sad. I
think if he has like a summer break, he'll be fine back to it. Yeah.
Because Panda is so talented at the piano.
Penguin is too. Have you heard Penguin get on the piano yet?
You mean when he like just pounds on the keys?
No, he'll get up there and like play songs and stuff.
Okay.
He'll play Paw Patrol for you.
Yeah.
Ask him. When we get home, ask Penguin. Can you play Paw Patrol for me? And I bet he will.
He's going to ask for the actual show, not play on the piano.
No, not if you sing it with him. Did you see any red flags in my in-laws when we were dating or engaged?
Next question.
Silence. Wow. I can say for me, my red flag was probably that some of your family members, it was harder to connect with because they didn't seem to care.
Do you feel like that was maybe like the language barrier?
No, because even your brother, like he cared.
He's so young. He's like
not that young
compared to us.
A few years younger.
No, more than that.
He was late teens when we got married. He was 18.
Younger.
No,
like
he's
17.
Not that much younger.
17, I thought.
No,
he's like 6 years younger.
Yeah.
But
I wouldn't say, so you went back to language barrier. I wouldn't say language barrier is a red flag though. That was just would something make it harder.
No, thinking that they don't care is like because you can't really communicate with them as much. So it seems like disinterest.
No, because I would classify that as like your grandmother that didn't speak English.
True.
So it was harder for me to connect with her, but I don't see that as a red flag, or I would never put that against your grandma of like, oh, like this is going to be a tough relationship with the in-laws because Gina's grandma only speaks Creole.
Yeah.
And I can't speak to her. Like, that's what I'm saying. Like, a red flag is like, what are things that we may become an issue? I know somebody that they were just about to get married and they didn't just because of the mother-in-law. Oh. Like, that's how intense it was.
That happens to a lot of
people.
And
it wasn't that the person came straight out and was like, I don't like you or anything like that. It's like the mother-in-law was planning the entire wedding and wouldn't let the actual bride plan the wedding.
Which is horrible because it's the bride's wedding.
And so that was a red flag for the bride to say, hey, once I marry this guy, his mom is going to make all the decisions in our relationship.
Sounds horrible.
And I don't want that. And I'm out. And she didn't get married to the guy.
Would you is that what you would have given advice to someone in that situation? Like, peace out?
I think so at this point in my life. I think in the past, I may have just said like, you won't have to deal with him that long. Like when we were young and
you thought that?
New, well, yeah, like because when you get married and move off on your own and stuff like that, then you just see the in-laws every now and then. Right. But now that I'm a little more experienced, a little more mature, I would say if that was the issue that you shouldn't get married. Yeah. The other thing is like if you're having red flags with the in-laws while you're dating or engaged, those probably are going to get worse or stay the same. And so don't ignore them. You do have to have communication through
address them early on.
Yeah, address them with your partner first.
Yes.
To see if there's like underlying things you're not thinking about, like the language barrier. And then address them if you're comfortable enough by yourself with the in-law. Because
I wouldn't say that. I would do the opposite.
You would do that. You would have your partner address it?
Yes. We talked about this a bunch of times where if either of us...
Think through this one.
Huh?
I got to think through this one. Go ahead.
Okay. I never went to my own parents about issues with you. I only ever went to your mom and stepmom. Whenever you were driving me nuts or I knew you did something wrong, the person I would go to would be your mom and stepmom. Why?
Well, we're not talking about issues with me. We're talking about red flags or issues with the step-parent themselves.
Let me finish. And I say this because when I would go to your mom and stepmom, no matter what I said, even if they could see that you were wrong, they still would love you. The same thing goes for if me and you having an issue with your in-laws. Whether or not it's me, whether or not it's you, it should always come from you. And that's just because I think it lands better when it's like you. So like if we had an issue with my parents, I would talk to them, not you.
So give me a specific issue. It doesn't have to be one that we've been through. Give me a random red flag issue that you would have, and I'll tell you if I would go myself, if I would have you go as my spouse or future spouse, or if I would want us to go together.
Okay. Okay. Cool. I got one. I don't want anyone coming and visit me after I have the baby.
That's a red flag you saw while we were dating?
Oh, no.
This is like, you're in like dating mode or engagement mode. Let's go engaged. You're engaged. Okay. And you're about to be married and you find a red flag with your in-laws. Give me what the red flag is and I'll tell you like how I would address it.
We'll use the example we had before. Your mom is boy mom. She feels like she needs to make all the decisions for us. So how I should breastfeed the baby, or what type of
like wedding planning,
everything parenting. She feels like
what house we're gonna live in, who we're gonna live with.
Yeah, so she's telling us how we're gonna do things, and this is how it's always has been. And so this is while we're engaged, she's telling us this. And that's a huge red flag because she's not getting married.
Yeah, it is.
Okay.
So you've told me about this red flag. So we'd have the conversation. After we have the conversation about it and both decide, yes, this is something we need to address. In that situation, I would want both of us to go and address the mother-in-law so that she sees that we're on a united front and that this is a joint decision between you and I as future spouses, not just herself or between me and her.
Not that I feel like it's wrong. I think I personally would do it differently.
Okay, how would you do it?
I would have you go talk to them first. And then if the issue still came over, like was continuing happening, then we would both come at the same time to show that we were united front.
See, the reason I don't like that, and it could just be my mindset, if it's my mom, not real mom, fake scenario mom, if it's my scenario mom and she already has this control and power over me, I don't feel like me going and talking to her is actually going to change her mind. She's just going to see me as her son, and maybe he'll say something, but in the end, he'll do what I ask him to do because I'm his mom. So I think that's where my mindset is coming from. If it's my theoretical mom, that she will not respect me at the end of the day. I guess if I went and talked to her and it happened again, then we would both have to go talk to her. Right? Like, okay, what if I go and talk to her and it happens again? What do you do?
Then we go and both talk to her.
Okay.
To show, and then we would put up boundaries of like, hey, if this happens,
See, I'm just working smarter, not harder.
Whatever.
I'm skipping that first step. That's not going to work.
No,
and just go,
it's not that it's not going to work, but I think sometimes people don't respect boundaries, or sometimes people are not going to respect your wishes. And I don't know if she was not going to hear you and listen to you, and when you said like, hey, I don't want this, or we don't want this, then even if the both of us come, she may not still hear it then either. If she's not going to just listen to you, I don't know if me and you are going to make the difference either.
Right.
So I think that it's kind of like I'm repeating myself, but now I'm escalating it because now it's the both of us. I think it may depend on what they prefer. I don't know if I would say there's a right or wrong way to do it. How do you balance respecting me and respecting your parents?
You just respect both. What? That's an easy one. Done. Next question.
Yeah, but sometimes, no, but I'm seriously, sometimes.
So for me, I mean, I think you do your best to accommodate both parties. And it is a juggling act. And especially when you're newlywed or in the engagement phase, like you really are wanting to please everybody. You don't want to come across as this bad person to your in-laws. You don't want to come across as a bad person to your partner. And so you're juggling and doing this balancing act. But I think at the end of the day, there's some exceptions to this, but at the end of the day, I think if you're not in your partner's corner with whatever it is and creating those boundaries, that you probably shouldn't move forward with marriage.
I agree.
Even if you're delaying marriage.
Okay, I agree.
That you should figure those out. Because again, like we said before, marriage just intensifies any problems that you have before you get married. Maybe it doesn't intensify, but they don't go away. Yeah. And over time, they just get bigger. So that would be my answer to that. That balancing is like, try your best to accommodate both, try to increase communication, try to get all parties involved and on one page. And if that isn't working,
always choose your spouse.
Always choose your spouse or your future spouse. If you're engaged, hopefully it's serious enough that you could see yourself with this person forever and that you're willing to be in their corner and back them. So
do you mean like always choose your spouse even if your spouse is wrong?
It depends on the issue. If it's something little, like if white chocolate or milk chocolate's better, like, no, go ahead and fight. If it's something big with like how many kids y'all want to have, and I'm okay with having 3 and you want 3, but my mom wants 4. I should definitely be on your side of wanting 3. Okay. Or maybe I don't care. My mom wants 4, you want 3. I should be in your corner and on your side with 3. Okay. I think that's where it comes tricky is like, if you're wrong, do I still pick your side? And at the end of the day, for the most part, yes, you should support. And then if you really don't agree, go have that conversation in private with your spouse or partner.
With that. Yeah, I like that. And it's funny because your brother his fiance.
Mm-hmm.
I think they exemplify that really, really well. That I don't want like justice to like want to go crazy or anything like that, but like his fiance, like I felt like there were times where I felt like his fiance knew that his that your brother was wrong, and he was still like, I can't blah, 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 blah. And I was just like, I'm so frustrated at him, but I also love that he just loves your brother so much that no matter what, he was always on his side, and I just respected that. I love that. And I don't know if it's just because I really, really love Justice's fiance, and like I just like who he is. He's just so sweet and so like everything. Like he's my partner in the kitchen. Like when every big holidays, he's like we're both. I don't know. I don't know who's the sous chef and who's the chef, but we just both.
He's the sous chef. Don't worry.
But I really just love the fact that even I don't know if he's ever realized like Justice was wrong or not, but it seemed like he was always on his side, and I truly just love the love that they have for each other. And yeah, because we've gotten a couple like disagreements a couple of times. I mean, we're like they're siblings, right? And I remember one time we were just like having a disagreement, and I felt like some of the reasonings behind some things were just straight ridiculous. But it was like anything to be on my fiance's side. Like I know and I was just like, I have respect for you. You know what? I can't even like be mad. So I thought that was really adorable, and I agree with you. That
I think
no
it's
matter
funny when I was like, Justice is wrong, right? He goes, oh, I know.
Did you say that? I don't remember that.
Well, he didn't say I know. He's like, no, I think he could have handled it differently. But you're wrong.
Yeah.
It's like,
see,
whatever.
I love that. I don't know why. That's
I'm hanging up this phone. I'll talk to y'all later.
There's so much love. The fact that even though you know your spouse is wrong, you're still supporting them. Like, because it's, like, in a world where sometimes you can feel really lonely and you really want your spouse to like be there to support you and help you and be that one person in your corner. Like when you have big disagreements with other family members, it can feel like so just isolating sometimes because it's your family, right? Even though your spouse is your family, but like your family is still your family. And it can, even if you feel like you're wrong or right or whatever, when you're having a huge disagreement, it can feel isolating. And so to have your spouse in your corner no matter what, that's like really respectful. Not respectful, really just, I don't know what's the right word, but I like it. Okay.
So we talked about whose side are you on whose side are you on in the event of disagreement with in-laws? And we both agree it should be your partner.
Yeah.
And then let's talk a little bit about boundaries and what role do boundaries play in managing relationships with in-laws. So I think we've touched a little bit on this already, but like, if you had to go back in our relationship, this is a loaded question here. Sorry, Mom, Dad, Diane, if you're listening. If you had to go back in our relationship and set like one boundary or do one thing differently than we did, what would you have done? So like 12 years ago, if there's one boundary you didn't create that you wish you would have, or one boundary would have changed, what would that boundary be?
What? I mean, I don't even know. There are a couple that I think of. Money, just like not mixing money, borrowing money, and like I probably would have like more of like, hey, like let's not no borrowing money. Just like if we're gonna gift it, we gift it. We're not expecting anything back. But also just like, yeah, I think maybe money, just like no. It's kind of hard because like you want to help family, but then sometimes family is also the person that sometimes will take the most advantage of you. And I don't think in a malicious way, but sometimes we will lack boundaries with our family members because you've known them for so long, and it's the person that you care about, and you're like, we should help each other. And not that we shouldn't, but sometimes too.
Well, I think for us specifically, we got into cultural differences here too. Culturally, with my family, you just help each other out. So whether that's sharing houses, paying each other's bills, sharing food, like when we say help each other out, I grew up very, very poor, and we like worked when we were in our teenage years, worked to pay bills at the house.
Mm-hmm. And it was very opposite for me.
And it was very opposite.
It was always parents take care of the kids. Kids never, like my dad would never allow me to get a job.
You've told me before is disrespectful. In your culture, it's disrespectful for the child to help the parent with anything, right? Not anything, but like normal day
like
stuff.
more of a way. It's like it's the parent's responsibility. It's not that it's disrespectful. It's more about like it's like more of like a role, right?
Mm-hmm.
And the role for the parent is to provide, especially financially, like everything for your child. And then it would be like the child to be able to pay back for what the parent did would be you be doing that for your future grandkids. And so that is kind of like the way that I was kind of brought up. I never had to help pay with the bills. Like I remember once I became 18 or 19, I started paying my own bills. And my dad would be like, "Oh, are you okay? Do you need any help?" And like, I was like, no, I got it myself. I can do it myself kind of thing. And, like my dad he just thought that my job as a child was to go to school. My job as a child was to get good grades. It wasn't to go get a job to help pay the bills. Because like he came here to America to provide a better opportunity for me. And so for me to be able to do that, like my sole responsibility was to be like the best student, best child that I could be, not to have like this role of like having to pay the bills and worry about paying the house notes or anything like that. And so I don't know if it's like disrespectful. I feel like there would be better word, but it was just like not really done.
It's like frowned upon.
Yeah, maybe that might be a better word. Yeah, more frowned upon kind of thing, like expecting your child to be like providing for you.
So how would we have done that earlier in our relationship with our parents? How would we have set the boundaries to manage?
I think first that should have been like a conversation between me and you. Like, hey, how do you want to handle this? How do you want to handle money? How do you want to handle family members constantly asking for money? I think that should have been a conversation between me and you first. And then we would set the boundary of what we were expecting or what we were wanting. And then when that time arrives, then we were already on a united front. Then we would be already like on the same page. And then when that person came, whoever it was, who would ask, and then like, I'm sorry, like we can do this, we can't do this. Because it is really, really hard. And it's so sad because like I feel like money sometimes brings out the worst in people. But also it's just hard too because like no one likes the idea of like the only reason that you want me in your life is like because of money either. And so like I think it's hard for the person who's asking, but also the person who's giving. And I don't think it's always going to be easy. And I'm not even trying to say like there's only one right way and one wrong way, because I think it's extremely nuanced in that, because sometimes there's so many instances where it could be like this happened, and so what if it's this happened? Because I know a lot of people will be in the comments just saying, hey, well, what if it was like your parents were dying? You're saying no, and it's like not even that.
We're talking like 95% of the time. Like in your everyday situations where like your brother needs gas money, or someone needs help with a bill or phone bill, or I think phone is pretty common for families to share phone plans and stuff like that. Insurances is pretty common. I know up to 26 you can be on your parents' health insurance, which can create some blur in the lines of boundaries.
Yeah.
If your parents are still paying for things, then they still feel like they have a right or control to tell you what to do or what not to do.
Well, I mean, I kind of understand that though. If you're like asking me to pay for something and then won't, I don't know. Because I know I'm not like that, right? Where I couldn't see, I wouldn't try not to ever make the choice of like, oh, I'm paying for this, so you owe me. Like, you need to do this for me. I don't want that type of relationship with my kids, right? But I could also understand, like, if you, like, if so another parent has a child that's living in their home and they're like they're 25, 26, and you have certain rules, like if you're not paying any bills and it's your house, then I think it would be right for that child to respect their parents' rules and not do whatever they say not to do in their house, because it is your parents' house, right? But I also don't want to be that type of parent where it's like, well, you live in my house and I pay for all your stuff, you have to do this for me, or 'cause that's also yucky as well. And so it's hard. I feel like it's there's like so many, like I need more specifics,
like nuances and stuff like that. Yeah, I think physical boundaries are important too. I'd probably advise most people, if able, when you're getting married, to live in a separate house or apartment. Even if it's like 5 minutes away from your parents, if that's all, like the furthest distance you can get. Just because it's just too easy as a parent. I know I was thinking about this today with Panda. Panda's 12 or almost 12, and he's 11 right now. And so I was just thinking it'll probably be just like 5 or 6 years before he's probably like openly cussing in front of us. Like maybe older.
We don't even cuss.
We don't.
I don't know.
But let's say he turns 18. So I'm thinking maybe more in the future.
Okay.
But he turns 18, 19, right? He goes off to college. And then he comes home and he starts using cuss words in just his everyday vocabulary.
Okay, you can do it not in my house, around me.
I know, but as a parent, for me, that was a shock to my mind this morning of like...
The thought of that happening?
The thought of thinking of like, here's my sweet child.
My baby.
Here's my baby. And so I think when you get married, I probably will be guilty of this as a parent. Your parents still envision in their head you as a sweet little child, even when you get married. And so if you're still in their house, I think it's natural for them to be like, do this, do that. Here's your chores. I'm paying for this. Here's your curfew. Don't be so loud.
So then wouldn't it be the responsibility of the parent to kind of recognize that their child's an adult now and to put up very respectful boundaries for their adult child? Because I know that I know that I probably, because I'm not perfect, will make the mistake of like thinking of my child still as a baby, right? I love my kids, 100%, all 5 of them. I think it would be very hard not to think of them as children, right? But I think it's my responsibility as the parent to recognize that they're not babies, they're adults now. And to recognize like, hey, like what I expected of them, or rules that I am like put on, expecting them to follow as children, if they're not appropriate for their age, like I have to recognize that and then like not expect them to still follow those rules. And so I get it.
I think you do a good job of that as a mom, is creating boundaries and respecting boundaries. So I think that's like part of why that comes so easy to you, and I think will be hopefully not hard when the kids get older for you.
I'm still human.
It may be hard, but like it's something that you'll naturally gravitate towards wanting to do with the kids. Whereas I don't think everyone has that. Like, like with my mom, she's terrible at boundaries, and so, you know, I had to be more efficient at setting my own boundaries, and I think creating some space as far as like not living with parents and stuff is just an easy way to start that and grow your relationship, and just have one less thing that you have to stress about or work around or tiptoe around. So last thing, like if your in-laws want to spank, but you as parents don't want to spank, or the opposite, if you spank as parents and your in-laws don't do spanking or anything, what's the line in there between like grandma's just being grandma and giving them a lot of sweets and treats, and like you're crossing the threshold? Like, is there a level there of parenting to be aware of that creates a red flag? Or
as grandparents, we should always know our place, and I don't think that
I'm so waiting. I'm gonna save this clip so when you become a grandparent, I'm gonna play it back. We're like, can we go on this roller coaster, Grandma? And I'm just gonna look at you and be like, Can they, Grandma?
If my kids were to say, like, Mom, this is like something that I really truly care about, I really don't want you doing this, I would not do it. I really wouldn't. And that's just because like, we've dealt with from our own parents, like, well, I did this, like, what's wrong with that? Nothing felt worse than that. Because, like, okay, great, that's what you did. You got to be able to parent your children the way you wanted. It's my turn now. Let me do what I want. Just because you did it that way doesn't mean I have to do it this way. There's been so much, like, society changes. We have so much more research now. Like, things change, and it doesn't have to be done the way that you did it. And so, yes, I will know my place, and I would want my kids to put me in my place. And so if there's something that they were just like, Mom, I really don't like this. Please don't do this around my kids, or please don't do this, or whatever it is, that I think it's right for them to be able to say something like that. And it should be, I should be as their mom, so my child's parent, and as they are trying to parent their own kids, I should be the one to respect my own kids and be like, okay, like, they're trying to do their best, even if it may not be the thing that I would do. That's if they're not harming. I think that's like the line. It's like if they're harming or doing something that is like illegal or something like that, I think that would be the line. But other than that, like, I think that it should be to up to the parents, or up to our children, how to parent, how they want to do, or what they want to do, or how to, like, raise their own children. And so I think, it will suck. Because everyone wants to feel heard. Everyone wants them, like, oh, take my advice. Like, and they're like, oh, I took your advice. You're like, yeah, you want that. But I think as we wanted to be able to make our own choices and not be influenced by everything that our parents did, and we're basing it off of, like, so many other factors, it's not just what our parents did, we should respect that, because I wanted it to be respected. And so I'm hoping that my kids will take these words and throw it in my face if I ever do something like that. And I'm like,
well, it's recorded now, so
it's recorded now. Yeah, I'm okay with that. I think it's so important to listen and respect boundaries and stuff like that, and that I'm okay with that.
Yeah, I think what comes through my mind is just the same of the communication part with talking with your partner, spouse about it. Make sure you guys are on the same page before it's something that arises, and then coming as a unified front to your in-laws. And then setting clear boundaries. If you don't spank, but your in-laws do, right? Then the in-laws don't babysit. They aren't with the kids alone. They don't parent the kids. Like,
unless I can really respect the fact that you don't.
Yeah. Because it does create a lot of turmoil for children. And I mean, as a child, you always are going through something or growing and experiencing things, and you don't need two different sets of parenting to try to conflict and make that more difficult.
Yeah.
So that's, like, for me, that would be the thing, is just setting the boundaries that sometimes they hurt. Sometimes setting the boundaries hurt, but in the end, they're more beneficial for the kids if you can do that.
Does anyone else have issues with racist in-laws? I've been with my fiance for just over 5 years now. I'm Indigenous, but my fiance is white. The entirety of our relationship, I've dealt with racism from her mother. The first incident happened on our first Thanksgiving together. My mother's side is Tuscali. I'm saying that wrong. I'm so sorry. They're very traditional and don't celebrate Thanksgiving. My father's side, however, is Lakota and pretty detached from our culture. They do celebrate Thanksgiving. For me growing up, this meant I went to a few Thanksgiving celebrations, but for the most part, it was just another day. I've grown kind of a distaste for holidays. I don't see any issues with others enjoying it, but Thanksgiving is not personally for me. Anyway, I went to her family's Thanksgiving that year since my family wasn't doing anything. I was very polite and explained that while I'll come, but I wasn't really comfortable with taking part in a meal or anything like that. This turned into my mother asking a load of questions, trying to find a workaround, and guilt me into celebrating with them. On the car ride home, my fiance and her sister were explaining why the things she was saying to me weren't okay, and she said, "It's okay, we all have a little Indian in us." Since then, she repeatedly called me Indian, implied that I don't get hangovers because of my heritage, made disparaging remarks about my culture.
Calling her this? The mom?
The mom. And most recently, made me a racist lamp. I'm not sure what exactly about the lamp was racist because apparently my fiance and her sister found out about it before she can give it to me and made her get rid of it. They won't even describe it to me. Who else out there deals with this? How do you deal with this? I'm at my wit's end here. She had it explained to her multiple times that the things that she says and does are racist. She does not have a problem with other ethnicities, just natives.
First off, I'd say I'm sorry to that poor Reddit user. That's a lot to go through when you're, like we just talked about connecting with in-laws and that, holy cow, that's hard.
I mean, it seems like she's just going to have to like separate herself from, it's going to be hard.
My personal opinion on that is that the mother-in-law is trying to drive her away. Like intentionally trying to drive her away and let her know she's not accepted in this family. She's not welcome in this family.
Really? I think it shouldn't be the person who's native in the story. It should be like the girlfriend or the fiance, right? I would put it on the fiance, which I think the fiance was doing, right? But then at that point, it would be the fiance who would be like, okay, now we are going to stop going to family functions. We're going to stop going to these things. We're not going to be around these people.
Not just family functions, visiting at all until the mom can respect that boundary.
Yeah.
Because, I think the fiance is trying to do something, and even the sister-in-law, because they stopped for that racist present from getting through. But I don't think it's just family functions. I don't think it's just holidays, because that may be what the mother-in-law wants, is driving that wedge. Like, you're not welcome to our holidays if you're not going to participate. And with that, I'm going to be mean to you to drive you further away. But if she recognizes it's driving the son away too, then she would have to recollect losing her son, not just losing the potential daughter-in-law. Because she's fine with losing the daughter-in-law the way that the story's going. But the son is still communicating with her, may still live with her.
So you thinking the son has to put that boundary of like stop or
an extreme boundary. I think if the son is living with her, he'd have to be like, Mom, I'm moving out because of the way you're treating this Reddit user. I'm specifically moving out for this reason, so she knows that's what caused this. And if the mom cries and breaks down and says, I'll never do it again, technically he could try to set that boundary there and say, fine, I'll stay, but the first time you do this, I'm gone. Right? Or you've not only done this, you've hurt her feelings. She needs an apology as well. He could really push and see how serious she is.
About trying to rectify.
If she's okay losing her son from her racist acts that she's doing.
Yeah. That's a lot. I mean, it seems like you're right. The little things like to buy the racist gift, to say all those things, it's like she's trying to drive a wedge, trying to push this person out of their lives. And it's so sad that she's just resorted to racism to be able to do that, but it's not surprising.
I think it's hard on the fiance too, the future husband, because he has to decide in the engagement period, is he okay with losing his mom? He really does. If they try to ignore it and get married, like it's going to cause issues. The other thing I think is it's going to cause issues when they go to have kids. What if she starts saying racist things to the kids? Calling them Indian, being derogatory towards them, her gifts being racist towards them. So the son really has to decide in this moment and make a choice. Like, am I willing to give up this core family member in my life for this fiance that I have? And that adds extra pressure and stress to what's already there.
But I mean, as parents, you're supposed to be putting your kids first. And so while it sucks to have to cut some family members out, if you're doing it for your children who cannot stick up for themselves, who cannot stay away from racist family members, if you continually bring them around racist family members, being able to protect them from that is like your job as a parent.
Right. All right. I think for my segment, I just want to follow up on something I've already touched on.
What?
Neuralink.
Oh, baby, can
Yes,
we get... You've been
yes.
obsessed with
The
this.
people need to hear this. The people need to hear it. Jeena loves when I talk about this stuff.
Dude,
but I
my
gotta
husband
keep
is so obsessed with AI.
I gotta
and
keep
stuff.
you in the know.
Okay,
keep you in the
thanks.
know. So if you guys don't know, there's a guy named Elon Musk that's a billionaire.
Who knows
recently
him?
switched Twitter to the name X. That guy that owns all that. He started a company, and I actually found there's 3 companies doing this, not just his.
Wow.
He started a company that implants computer chips into people's brains so that they can control computers with their mind. They have successfully done this.
Oh, goodness.
And they've released the interview footage on the first patient.
Person? Yep. You see their face and everything.
Yep.
And you saw them doing stuff.
Yep.
What did they do?
He was playing chess.
Oh, boogers.
And then he was playing like Civilization 8 or whatever. And so he's a quadriplegic from like the shoulders down. So he can only move his head, but he no longer has to use like the straw thing to move the mouse and stuff like that. He said he went through some training that he thought of moving his hand and thought of moving the mouse at the same time. And now it's just like when we move our arms. He literally just thinks about it and it happens. So
or would you get a chip in your head, Drew? Because the way you were talking about this, you're so obsessed about this.
Oh, man.
The answer is there's a right and wrong answer.
The answer is not for you, sweetie. I would not do that to you. But it is going to be impactful to our kids when they get older. Technology is moving so quickly. They potentially could be in class with kids with computer chips in their head.
Like, you should respect your kids as adults. I would tell my kids, don't you dare. Don't you dare.
I mean, it'd be easy to set boundaries. With parents, you just hack in and like code in boundaries, right? No, but the funniest thing I saw with it is TikTok is the best and worst place there ever was. The funniest comment I saw with it though is they'll install it for free.
Of course.
But then if you don't pay the premium, you'll have ads just pop up. So it'll be like your streaming service. Like
that's horrible.
But it is a real thing. They say it's for a good cause, and it has helped this gentleman.
If you're gonna just run ads through my head, I don't understand how that's for a good cause. Explain that to me. It's like when you get your Amazon Fire and they just run ads over and over and over. How's that for my benefit? It ain't for nobody's benefit for me to see ads day in and day out.
So you would not get a computer chip in your head?
Let me be clear. I would not get a computer chip in my head. I don't care if Elon Musk pays me to do it. He could give me $1 billion.
Wait, how much? $1 billion?
No. You would?
For $1 billion?
No, you not.
You and the kids would be living good.
While you over here getting hacked by people? No, I'm good.
Just set your boundaries with me. Just stick me on an island. Just stick me on an island or something. You know, $1 billion, you could buy me an island. You buy me an island, y'all come visit me when I'm not like
ain't nothing
all
good could
messed
ever
up.
come from buying islands. People who buy islands. Have you not heard of the people who buy islands?
That's true. I didn't think about that.
I'm
I wasn't
good.
thinking about those people. Jeez, Jeena, this got dark fast.
I don't like the idea of a chip. And
I'm going to take my segment back to my corner.
Okay.
Guys, this is a real thing. There's actually a thing called Neuralink. And right now, the reason for it is to help people with disabilities be able to function in an, I say normal way, but in a way that they used to function.
Or as close to it.
As close to it, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So that's my segment. You're welcome.
Okay. Well, I'm so excited that you guys joined us for another episode on Hey There Parenthood.
Yeah, it was good
where
to
we
talk
talked
to you
about
guys.
our in-laws and our relationship. I feel like this is just such a touchy topic.
I'm expecting a call from one of my parents to be like, "What did you say?"
I don't think we said anything that was bad.
We didn't, but it is hard.
But I do
conversations.
love them. Yeah, it is hard conversations, and we do love them. And yeah.
Thank you guys so much for joining us.
Yeah.
Have a great week.
Bye.